Hello, welcome or welcome back if you are a subscriber or a frequent viewer. And this is me, Elaine. You can find me here and you can find me on Instagram as Elaine Tom. You can find me on Ravelry as Elaine Maxeb. You can find me on Facebook as Nabeel Studio and Elaine Tom. And I think that's basically it. Oh, and you can find my hand dyed wool, Nabi Wool Studio, which is basically sort of a very empty shop at this point. So, this is episode 41, and I had spoken about doing an episode where I was going to go through all of my makes of 2025, and I sort of backed out of that, I think. I finished 48 projects in 2025, and it would basically take a very long time to go through it all. And I think a lot of it you've seen over the past few episodes that I've made this past year. And on Instagram, you could definitely find them all. And it seems like a lot of podcasters do it, and I think that I don't need to add to that. But let me know in the comments if you really, really want to see an episode of all of my makes from 2025. And then I did a little dive into Ravelry just to see my statistics. I didn't realize that I can find out all this information by looking at my project's profile page. If you go to Index, you can see basically how many projects you've finished every year that you've been on Ravelry. And I think towards the bottom of the project page, you can see how many meters you've knit. I'm not sure if it's over the lifetime of Ravelry or per year or whatever. But 2017 was my big year. I had finished 66 projects that year. I will have to look back to see what sort of projects they were. But 2025, I finished 48, and I believe 46 of those were tops or garments of some sort, whether they were full sweaters or vests or slipovers. There were 46 of them. There, I believe, was one scarflet or shawlette and one hat. And now we're on 2026. Let me show you the last finished project from 2025, which is not released yet. So this is the Poppy Bloom pullover, I believe, coming out from Sari Nordland. I'm not sure if I showed more of it last time, but I am finished now, and I'll do the full reveal on Instagram when it's released, and I think that should be pretty soon. So basically, I used a lot of different yarns on this. I used BC Garn, Samila Melange. I used some of my mohairs and stuff, and I've used Rowan Felted Tweed, and this is Rowan Pure Life, which I believe is discontinued, but it's organic wool and it's naturally dyed. So look forward to that. And I think I put in more colors than her design originally had. So that's the last project from 2026. And then 2025, sorry, I'm getting all my years confused. So then we hit 2026, and the very first project I finished is this. And this is the Cozy Cottage sweater. I did the Cozy Cottage cardigan last year from Anne-Catherine Stahl, and now I did the sweater version, and the yarn was kindly gifted to me from Gepard, and this is the Pura Lana. It got here very, very late. It was almost, I think, 6 weeks past the start of the test knit, and I knit as fast as I could. There was a little delay on getting the pattern out. I think it's coming out next week. But it's really a wonderful, wonderful design, both the cardigan and the pullover. You have cables that are throughout this, and half fisherman's rib, I believe. And so it's a little bit less straightforward if you make a mistake with the cables, because there are short rows involved, because the row gauge of the cables is different from the row gauge of the fisherman's rib. So you have to be careful with that. But the thing with the pullover that's easier is basically the cables are all going in the same direction, or you're working on the same direction for each section. So there's not a confusion of whether you're supposed to switch cables direction or not. Whereas the cardigan, there was switches, I think, from the sides of the back. I can't remember exactly, but that I had several times where I messed up on the cables, and there was a lot of issues with getting that fixed, but I did. But this one, I basically had really not very many mistakes that I had to go back with. So it's a real pleasure, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sweater, and I knit really quickly. And then my third finished object, but second of 2026, is the Vikelda vest, and that is coming out from Alex Bird. I added a modification where I added another color into the design. I didn't do that every other row. I did it every 4 rows because I was running out of the color I wanted as the main color, which is Brooklyn Tweed Arbor. So most of this is Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, which, as you know, Brooklyn Tweed is now discontinued. So this yarn is sort of precious to me. And the white color is the heirloom white from Goodwool, from Pearl Soho Goodwool. So yeah, so if I was to run out of anything, there was no way for me to really get this yarn easily. And I do think that whichever projects I use Brooklyn Tweed for are going to be extra precious. I really love Brooklyn Tweed, and Arbor is really a wonderful thing to work with. There are braids, the Ruhu braid, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, every section, and it's a great, great knit, and really easy to memorize and fun to knit. And then I have a bunch of whips going right now. I have to start a bunch of whips also. I have to cast on a bunch of things, but I am trying to get basically one thing done at a time, and also giving myself some other projects on the side to go back and forth with when I need for a switch of muscles in my hands. So I usually try to keep one fine gauge job on hand and one that has a larger gauge, because it makes it easier for me to sort of give my hands a rest, even though they're not completely resting. So this one project is from Mingbo, and it is called the Owie sweater. I think it's how you pronounce it. So it is with a 10 stitch gauge, which took me forever to get or find yarn that was appropriate for that. I even purchased some yarn, and it didn't really work. So what I did was use my Plutalopi that I bought from Iceland a few years ago now, from Alafoss, and it took 3 strands, and I actually went down from the suggested needle size to get the gauge. I think I'm using 9.0 instead of the 10. So anyway, it's a start. I'm working on the back and creating the shoulders at this point, or I have one shoulder done, and I'm sorry for the bang. I am working on the left shoulder. So but I'm working on mostly what I have to get done quickly first. But that is the Owie sweater from Ningbo. I think this one. Okay. So the other large gauge thing that I'm working on is the Quiet Stripe sweater from Anna Enge. And it took me forever to do the ribbing for the neck. It's a folded, so it's double the length, and then you sew it or you knit it together. So this is a 3x1 rib, and I'm using my Wool Dreamers Manchalopi, which I bought quite a while ago also, and it's really wonderful. And it comes double-stranded, and that worked out fine for me because I'm also holding it with a thick fuzz, and it is working out to meet the gauge. And I am just starting basically the sweater part, and I'm very happy with the color and how that's working out. So that is the Quiet Stripe sweater. There's a Quiet Stripe tee that she already has released. And then what I'm really trying to plug away on as quickly as I can, and I just posted this on Instagram yesterday, and it seems to be getting a great reception. The words, sometimes I wonder what my language is. So anyway, this is the Sea Buckhorn sweater, Buckshorn, and it is from Eleanor Mortensen, and it is a 24 stitch gauge sweater. So I'm using BC Garn Shetland in the blue and the brown color, and then I picked up this really beautiful Isager Soft Fine, and it's like a deep reddish orange or orange red, I'm not sure. So it is really coming out beautifully, and I've now separated the body and the sleeves, and as I normally do, once I basically get through the yarn for the body, I start the sleeves instead of continuing with the body, so I can start a new hank and work the sleeves so that it's not as heavy dragging around an entire garment when you're knitting the sleeves. So hopefully I will make the deadline. The deadline is next week, so we will see. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. And I think I'm slowly trying to plan what I'll wear to the first festival this year, which is the Swiss Yarn Festival at the end of March. And I definitely think this is going to be one of the things that I will be wearing on one of the days. And I'll have to figure out what else I'll wear on the other days. I'm planning right now to go to all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we'll see when it gets closer to the dates of the festival. Oh, also I'm wearing the Felix sweater from Amy Christopher's Savory Knitting that I knit a long time ago. It's actually one of my absolute favorites to put on. It's really easy to wear. I really love the color. This is my hand-dyed wool, and it's really comfortable, and it goes with almost everything. So that's what I'm working on. Let me know if you really, really want to see finished objects from 2025, or we'll just continue going on with 2026. If you have any other questions or curious about anything, let me know. I really, really appreciate when you comment. It really brings me a lot of joy to read the comments. So please try to do that if you can, if I'm not asking too much. Like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, and you'll see all the things that I'm working on. Hopefully I'll be back soon to do another episode. Again, it always depends on what I have to show, and also if there are other people in the house. And if there are other people, I feel a little weird talking to myself on my computer, so I usually put it off. But I'm hoping that you have a great day, and I hope that 2026 has started off well for all of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.